Welcome again. So, I, I love Valentine's Day because what I've come to learn about it is that it has very little to do with receiving a Valentine from someone else, although that is a nice expression and everything. But what I've come to learn in this teaching is that it's a day of remembering that that we are loved, that we have this self-love within us. And what I know about that is that I know that the more and more and more that we feel that and express that, the more it cannot help but being magnified toward us, whether it's with a lover or a friend or a pet or whatever. It can't help. And this week, I've been really remembering that and really doing my best every time something challenging comes up to remember that I am love. It's not, it's who I am. It's who each of us is. We can't escape it. And when that song says, there's very little love in the world, that song, in reality, there is not very little of it. There's a whole bunch, like however many people are in this world, that's how much love there is. It might be being covered up, but it can never go away because we can never desecrate the real beingness of who we are. So what I want to talk about today, it's be my Valentine, but I want to talk more about being enough and self-love, like I said when I first started. Because this has been something, they always say you teach best, which you need to learn most. And it's been the thing that has, been definitely a challenge in my life. And we were all told things when we were kids. Some of us were told things that maybe weren't so great. And in this Louise Hay meditation I'm doing every morning, she has an exercise where you look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself something wonderful, because more than likely you might have been looked in the eye at a very young age and told something that maybe wasn't so wonderful, and that you've carried that with you through your life. And what I know is that many people that I meet with in counseling sessions, not counseling, but spiritual counseling, spiritual coaching sessions, it's the one thing that I can say that behind everything is this feeling of either not deserving or not being enough. And it all comes from lack of self-love. And so it is as Louise Hay says, the magic wand for our lives is self-love. So I remember a day where everything shifted for me with my my father, who was very hard on me throughout my life because he was very strict, and he knew us. But you know what? Louise Hay says, if you had problems with your parents, go look at them as children and see what they might have been through. It doesn't condone anything, but it helps you have better understanding for them and more love for them. And I remember this one day, it was at my sister's wedding, when I was supposed to be an opera singer, that was my dad's dream. And I didn't become an opera singer. And at my sister's wedding, I was singing the father-daughter dance, and it was an operatic song. And after it was over, there happened to be the general manager of the Metropolitan Opera was there, and I had previously turned down an audition. Wrote a letter, said I'm not coming to the audition. So anyway, I know, right? So I had my own reasons and insecurities at that time, but I also had a family, and I felt like that was the most important thing in my life, and it seemed too big for me at the time. So, but anyway, my father, brought me up to the gentleman and was going on and on about how I could have been the greatest opera star. And I was getting very, kind of feeling uncomfortable. And so I said, yeah, but, Dad, look at my life. I have a great life. I have 3 beautiful children. I graduated from college. And he just kind of flippantly said, Rita, you're nothing. But he said it like jokingly. So I know, don't get too excited about it. But what happened to me in that moment is I dug down like so deep because I was so outraged. And I screamed out, I am something. But what happened was a shift. When I really realized that it wasn't going to matter anymore what anyone said about me. It was like the beginning of my growing up, and I think I was 40 at the time. Okay, so It was the beginning of my growing up when I realized I was never really going to get that approval from someone, from him. Now, did I carry it on? And it showed up in different ways in my life, and I had to continue to work with that because it doesn't go away that easily. It goes away. You make the awareness is the biggest deal in the whole thing. I mean, if you're aware of something within yourself, that is a gift. And then whenever it comes up, you get to treat it, you get to work with it, you get to meditate with it, and you get to just let go and peel back the onion. And I feel like that was the day that I started that peeling back. And my father and I, ended with a wonderful relationship, and all is well in that world. And he helps me lots from wherever he is. And, but yeah, so I don't know how you feel about that, but something shifted in me, and I know if you've had those experiences in your life where something just clicks in and you just know. But the only way that can happen really is if you allow yourself to be open to it, allow yourself to really go within and really just look at it and not be afraid to look at it. And what's interesting is the last couple of days, I've had a lot of stuff come up in that area. And I think it's because I'm doing this self-love meditation. Like I said, you teach what you need to learn most. And I found myself like stuff coming up still and me still having to go in and treat it. And I feel so grateful that I have tools. And when my life started to really shift was when I came into my first Science of Mind church and I started to study Ernest Holmes, and he is very big on self-love. And there were some quotes I just wanted to read you just so you could feel them. The real self is God-given and cannot be denied. It is the place where God comes to a point of individualized and personified expression. That's who we are. We are a point where this power, this energy, this source, whatever you want to call it, this divine love, has decided to show up as us and live our lives. It's so amazing. And you just take that one quote into your meditation with you. And so, well, how do you get to that? Well, in order to get to that self, you have to be willing to let go of your little self, your little iggly self, your little ego self that says all the reasons why you're not that. It's not a bad thing. It's just all the reasons why you're not that. The self-worth stuff that comes up. And he goes on to say, it is through the revelation of the self, meaning the little self, to the huge self, spelled with a capital S. It is through the revelation of the self, small self, to the large self, that one understands life, that he approaches the power that is in the heart of God. You, yourself, more than anyone, deserves your love and affection, said the Buddha. You, yourself, more than anyone, deserves your love and affection. So, if we take nothing more from today than just experiencing that self-love and allowing ourselves to go from here, and if we're all okay in that area and we don't need to, that's great too. But if there's any little part of ourselves that still needs, that little girl, that little boy that still needs to know that you didn't ever do anything bad, you didn't ever do anything that even needs to be forgiven. You are here in the present moment as a radiant, amazing expression of the divine, the love, and that you are already a Valentine. I know that we all want, not all of us, but some of us want to have a partner or someone to share that love with. And I just know that the more that we express it to ourselves, and I know that's true for myself, the more the person shows up in our life to magnify that love back to us. And the better our life gets, the more deserving we feel. Like I said, most of the times when I sit in a session with somebody, it's that feeling of non-deserving that stops us. So, in case you're not listening to the meditation I'm doing, there's a beautiful affirmation that Louise Hay uses in her book of Healing Your Life. And she says, it's, I love and approve of myself. And she tells us to say it 300 times a day. Well, what's happening? We know from quantum science, if we continue to say something to ourselves and actually invite ourselves to actually open up to believe it, that our brain changes and it rewires itself, and it starts to disconnect from where it was before. The neurons disconnect and they plug themselves into another idea. And this is an idea. I love and approve of myself. And 300 times a day. And then she sits every morning, and I started doing this too. And it's, I accept more and more good in my life. I accept. She said she puts her arms out wide and says, I accept more and more good in my life, because it's a releasing universe. It's expressing itself and releasing itself through us. But as Ernest Holmes says, it'll only give us what we will take, and the taking is mental. And someone asked that question in class, what does it mean that the taking is mental? It means we can't take it like this. We have to consciously change to accept it. So that taking is mental. So that's where our work is to just say, we deserve it. We deserve all of it. We deserve the best. We deserve to have love and health and all these amazing people in our lives. And we deserve to be creative. That's why we're here. We're creative beings. The Spirit's pouring through us and saying, I want to express. So, yeah. And we deserve it. We deserve it. We deserve it. Just put your hand on your heart and say it with me. It'll help me reiterate it to myself. I deserve it. I deserve the good. I deserve more and more good in my life. And I love and approve of myself. Love and approve of myself. Namaste.